Chief.
You mentioned that these marshals were serving a warrant for a convicted felon with a weapon.
Yes.
Knowing that they're going into a situation where they know that someone has a weapon, how does that change the way that they respond, if at all?
Well, it certainly changes the response. The question is, how does it change the response when you're going into a residence where someone has a history of having a weapon? And let me just be clear, the U.S. Marshals Service, their fugitive task force is comprised of surrounding agencies. So there are multiple agencies that are involved with the fugitive task force with the Marshals Service. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department is a member of the U.S. Marshals Task Force as well. So anytime you are dealing with someone who is a convicted felon and who has been caught previously with a firearm, it does raise concerns and raise awareness when you are responding. So when they do that, part of the reason the task force is such an imperative part of what we do every single day is because they have extensive training and they train together to be able to deal with these kind of situations. It's always going to be something that's on the forefront of their thought process when you're going after Charlotte's most dangerous people. And unfortunately today was something tragic that we never want to see. I never want to stand in front of you today to talk about an incident such something this tragic. It's really heartbreaking, yes.
Chief Jennings, U.S. Marshals Union one deputy.
You know, I'm not ready to tell you all of the agencies. What I can confirm is that 4 CMPD officers were shot. One CMPD officer is in very critical condition at this point. We do have to make sure that family members and all of them are notified, so I'm not going to release which agencies they were with the task force. So the question is the number of shooters. Right now, we believe there are 2 shooters involved. Again, we have 2 people of interest at the police station that are being questioned right now. And we have confirmed that the individual that was set up, that we were serving the warrant on, was the individual who fired the initial shots and was deceased in the front yard at the end of all of this. So,
besides the one in critical condition, how were the other 2 officers doing?
the other officers, besides the officer that's in critical condition, the other officers are stable. The degree of injuries are varying, anywhere from a graze wound to a wound that requires a little bit more attention, but they are stable and expected to be okay.
And can you say if any of your officers who are shot in this, were they responding patrol officers? Were they SWAT officers?
Yes, I can confirm that we do have a sergeant who is assigned to the task force who was on the scene. That officer immediately called for help. The 3 officers or the 4 officers that were shot are officers who were responding to the scene.
Chief Jennings,
I'll get to you. Yes, sir. Yes.
scene, can you just tell us what firearms these suspects had, and when you were able to get into that house, were there any other firearms that were found?
That's still early to tell. Right now, we're still doing the investigation in the house. I can tell you it was a high-powered rifle that was involved on the suspect end. Yes, sir.
First of all, my thoughts and prayers are with you and
Thank you.
U.S. Marshals. What can you say about the bravery of the officers who responded to the scene knowing that their brothers and sisters in blue were actively being shot?
Thank you for that question. So the bravery of our officers that responded to the scene, knowing that they're going into gunfire, is what I've been saying for many years, is in the face of danger, our people step up, and this profession steps up, and that's what we should be defined as doing. Because they knew what they were going into and still held their own in attempt to apprehend this suspect. They knew that they had officers that needed help, that needed to be extracted from that location, yet they went in, some getting shot themselves as a result. So the bravery, the heroism, everything that goes down with, that defines what our profession is, our people demonstrated that today, and I couldn't be more proud of the response. I couldn't be more proud of the partnerships that we have at every single level of law enforcement, every single level of public safety. I can't say enough about the phone calls, the text messages, the support, and as you heard Lieutenant Petrus say, or the mayor say, that a lot of it is, what do you need? How can we help? And it just, in times like this, that's exactly what we need in these situations.
Chief, in terms of other surrounding areas, law enforcement agencies, can you talk about how many maybe from other counties helped out or federal law enforcement agencies helped out?
Yeah, so the question is, how many other agencies are with the Fugitive Task Force or just responded? So the Fugitive Task Force, I don't have the exact numbers. With Charlotte has one member on the Fugitive Task Force as a sergeant, but mainly the surrounding agencies within our surrounding cities and towns are members of that, and we can get you those numbers exactly who is involved.
That actually helped out responding to this, whether it was Gaston County providing the Bearcat or whatever.
Yeah, so so the officers who responded to help out, all the federal agencies were on the scene with me, and state agencies, the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office was there as well. We had agencies from Pineville to different towns within our county. They sent officers in to answer our calls for service, because we obviously, you can imagine the manpower needs that it was to secure that scene and to do the transports. So they were very helpful to ensure that we did not let our citizens down in responding to those calls for service, and they were very helpful in that. So.
Were there children in the house at the time of this, while the warrant was being served?
No children in the house. There was one juvenile that we did get out of the house, though. Yes.
You said the suspect used a high-powered rifle. Can you provide any information on what type of ammunition was used by the suspect or suspects?
Not right now. The type of ammunition, that's still part of the investigation. All of that will have to be looked at as far as when we get into the house. Also recover any projectiles that might have been taken out as treatment to the officers. So there's a lot that we still have to uncover. We're not there yet.
Chief, can you speak to
the choice of the time to execute this warrant, given that there were schools in session? Was that taken into consideration as to whether this was an appropriate time for?
So the question is whether this was an appropriate time to serve a warrant. I will tell you. Hold on. I will say, when you're talking about a felon who has propensity to carry a firearm, there is no great time to do it, whether it's in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day. The interest in the Fugitive Task Force was to ensure that this person was brought to justice and taken off the streets. And unfortunately, he decided that he was going to respond to that by gunfire at our officers. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any prior histories or calls regarding this place of residence?
I do not right now, but the history of this residence, the history of the individual, all of that will be released very soon. We're going to try to get that information out. We do have a lot of family notifications that we have to make in order to provide more information to each and every one of you about this individual. So.
Right now, the shelter in place,
Yeah, so the question is right now, is the shelter in place open? Is the area okay to go back to normal duties? Yes, we're going to be at the residence processing the crime scene probably for several hours. But as far as the lockdowns and closure of roads and all of that, we have opened that back up. The house has been secured, by our officers have been cleared, and now comes the tedious task of ensuring that we collect the evidence and process the scene. Yes.
I just wanted to confirm with you. You said one suspect was shot in that front yard. You mentioned there were two more people inside that house that are now in custody. Are one
Yes.
of those two people the additional shooter, or was there a second victim, or one of those suspects?
Yeah, so the question is about the two other individuals who came out of the house later. I can't confirm right now which one or if either are the suspects in the additional shots that were fired. What I can tell you is that we had the house secured, and the perimeter was secure, and we continued to take gunfire from inside the residence. And after we cleared the residence, there were only two individuals that came out. One 17-year-old juvenile, and then another female who was taken out as well. So
just to confirm, there is only one suspect that is deceased.
One suspect is deceased, yes.
Chief, do you know, and I hate to ask this, do you know if this is the deadliest law enforcement day in Mecklenburg County or Charlotte history?
I cannot. I've been with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department for 32 years. I can't remember an incident where 3 law enforcement officers were, and also 3 that were killed in the same incident, as well as 1 in critical condition and additional that were shot and injured. So to me, it's the most tragic one that I've been involved in. I don't know historically. I can't imagine that there's one that's any worse than what we're seeing today.
Chief, what are the questions that your investigators will be working to answer in the coming days, weeks, months?
Well, a lot of the questions that need to be answered, we don't even know what those questions are right now. We have to get a full understanding of why this occurred, and also to uphold the integrity of the investigation. We want to make sure that we check all the boxes that we need to so that we can get a full prosecution in this case if and when it comes down to that. We know some answers, but we still have many that we have to clear up and many that we have to continue to work on until we can really lock down what happened, who was involved, and move on from there. So. I did. I spoke with the governor earlier today. He basically asked me, what do I need? He's here to support. Certainly appreciative of the phone call with him. Unfortunately, I know he would be here if he could right now. He's on his way to come and speak with us, but I did speak with him this afternoon.
Chief, while our prayers are for the families and the community, I am a East Charlotte resident since 1975. I appreciate what the police officers do in our community. Speaking on behalf of the East Charlotte community, I'm prayerful that there will be an increase of the police presence in our area, in East Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you for that. At this point, I'm concerned mainly with taking care of the officers, taking care of their families, and all of that comes into play later on how do we respond to this community. But want to make sure the community knows that we're going to continue to keep them safe. We got a lot of brave men and women out there that are going to continue working in that neighborhood, and they're going to continue to work in the best interest of our community and our citizens. So yes, I'll take 3 more questions. Yeah.
Chief, of the CMPD officers who responded and are injured, how many of those officers were part of the U.S. Marshals task force, and how many were responding to the shots that were
Okay, all of the officers from CMPD that were injured were responding to the scene. The one sergeant that we have assigned to the task force was not injured. Yes. I don't know how many total officers were there serving the warrant, so I don't have that. That's from the U.S. Marshals task force that they had a contingency of their task force out there doing this warrant service. Yes.
Speaking. My condolences for you and the police force. I definitely feel like this is a bad, tragic situation that should never take place. In regards to law enforcement and just citizens throughout the state, what can you say could be a beneficial step that could be taken between relations between police enforcement and whether it could be just citizens, felons, or whatever the case may be? What could be done to bridge the gap so a level of this situation will never take place?
Well, I'll be honest with you, whatever gap there is, this level should never get to this place, right? I mean, you can have all the hate in your heart that you possibly can have. That should never result in taking a life, and much less taking multiple lives. So the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department and every agency you see behind me has a priority to continue to make sure that we have the best community relationships that we possibly can. But a lot of that also means that we have to be met halfway on certain things. So we're going to continue to do that. And like I said, we're going to continue to keep your community safe. So thank you. That's all I'll answer for now. So thank you.